Hi, my name is Brittany Vina and I'm the marketing manager here at Pack Health, and I am also a group fitness instructor. Today, we are going to be using your stretch band to do some lower body exercises. When you do your exercises, we're going to show you how to do them. When you do them at home, you're going to make sure to do about 8 to 10 reps or whatever you're most comfortable with. The first thing that we're going to do is take our stretch band and tie it around our legs. So you're going to want to get your stretch band nice and flat and then wrap it around your legs in the best way possible. You want to try and get it pretty high on your thighs while trying to keep it as flat as possible so that it covers the most surface area. The best way to do this is to make sure that you're keeping your legs close together and then tying it to your desired level of tension. So this is kind of choose your own adventure, so you can decide how tense or tight you want it, and that will give you a little bit more tension when you're actually doing the exercises. So just tie it across and then double knot it so that it stays secure. So now that we have our stretch band tied, making sure to keep that press out on your stretch band is key to really engaging the outsides of your thighs as well as the insides of your thighs. The first exercise that we're gonna do is going to be a hinged over tap back. So now that we have our stretch band on our legs, I'm gonna turn over to the side to show you what to do. You're gonna take a soft bend in your knees, press your shoulders back and down. I like to keep my hands at guard. You can keep your hands on your hips or whatever is most comfortable for you. You're gonna hinge over at your waist and then pop that side toe up. I'm using my left foot. You're gonna do both sides whenever you do these reps. So you pop your left toe up, put all that weight into all 4 corners of that right foot, and then you're going to tap it back and then bring it back to center. So you just tap it back and then bring it back to center. For a little bit more of an advanced modification, you can take a tap back to the back and then take it over to the side. Still trying to keep all that weight pressed into all 4 corners and trying to keep your hips nice and square. For more of a modified ability level, you can step back, bring your hands onto your hips, pressing your shoulders back away, keeping your core in tight, and then just take this tap back standing. Still keep that soft bend in your knees and still try and find that engagement in that lower body area, but you can just press back and keep that press back going onto that band. You can still do that tap out to the side if you're really wanting to warm up all areas of that thigh area. You're gonna do both of these on both, you're gonna do these exercises on both sides. So 8 to 10 reps on each side. Now we're gonna move into squats. So you're going to want to take your feet a little bit wider than hip distance apart and point your toes out at about a 45-degree angle. Roll your shoulders back and down. I like to keep my hands at guard for this. You can keep them on your hips or out long, whatever's going to be most comfortable for you. So pressing your core in, you're going to lower down, trying to keep your knees over your ankles, sending your seat back while also keeping your chest tall, and then squeeze it up to the top. You're going to keep that press going out on that band, and then you're going to lower it down again and then squeeze it back up to the top. So when you squeeze it back up to the top, you want to make sure you're engaging your glutes and then gently pressing your hips forward. That weight should stay in those heels, and if you're not sure if your weight is in your heels, just lift your toes up gently off the ground. For a little bit of an advanced modification, you can take that squat, lower it down, take a couple gentle pulses, and then press it back up to the top. So you lower it down, pulse it low, pulse, and then press it back up to the top. For a little bit of a modification, you can use a chair in addition to your squat. So standing in front of your chair, keeping that same position so your feet are a little bit wider than your hips, still pressing on that band, toes are angled out, and then lower it down so that your seat gently touches the chair, and then press it back up, squeezing those glutes, pressing your hips forward gently. Lower it down, and then squeeze it right back up to the top. So making sure that you're doing what is most comfortable for you while still keeping that weight in those heels and also trying to keep your knees stacked over your ankles. Now, we're going to move on to a standing leg extension. So you can bring your hands onto your hips or at guard, whatever is more comfortable for you. Take a slight bend in your knees and shift your weight over onto that left side first. I like to point my toe, but you can keep your foot flexed, whatever is more comfortable for you. You want to try and keep that center of balance a little bit steered over so it's more center than tilting you over to that other side, but press that weight into your heel, sending your front leg forward and then lifting it tall and then setting it back down. If you would like to do an advanced level, you can flex that foot, bring it back to center and send it out to the side. Remember, you want to keep that engagement pressing out on that band. If you need a little bit of a balance assistance, you can find a stool. Again, keeping that core pulled in, soft bend in your knees so you have that neutral spine, and then send that leg out, finding that press out on that band, and then bring it back to center. You want to try and keep your hips squared so that they're not tilting forward are pulling back on one side. So trying to square it and then press it forward and then pull it right back. You may be sending it out to the side if you would like that modification or try a little bit of an advanced movement, but keeping that press out on that band and that engagement in that right side of your glutes. Now we're gonna move on to a glute bridge. For this, you're going to need to be on the ground. So what you can do is you can take your band off and retie it once you get on the ground, or you can press onto your band, step your right leg down, and then step your left leg down, coming over onto your seat and sending your feet out in front of you. You're gonna want your feet about hips distance apart, so right in line with your hips right here. I like to roll my shoulders back and down, take an inhale, and then let all that air out, and then bring my heels as close as I can into my seat, maybe scoot my seat a little bit closer before rolling down onto the ground. So trying to get your heels as close as you can into your seat is really key. Making sure that those knees are facing straight ahead so they're not pressing out, they're not caving in. We got them nice and solid. We wanna make sure our hands are open up to the side of us and our shoulders are relaxed down. This will help keep your chest nice and open, which is key. Next, you're going to squeeze your seat and press your weight into your heels. Lift it up so that the seat is elevated and your knees are directly over your ankles. And making sure that that squeeze is coming from those glutes pressing in together. You're gonna lower it down to a hover and then press it right back up to the top so that your hips are getting that maximum elevated position. Then you take it right back down to a hover and then press it up to the top. While you're doing this, be conscious of where you're actually feeling this movement. So are you feeling this in your glutes because your glutes are squeezing together, or are you pressing up through your shoulder blades? You wanna keep that isolated to that glute area. If you need a little bit of modification, you can always send that seat completely down onto the ground, do not take it to a hover, and then lift it up to the top. If you want a little bit of an advance, you can press your weight into your left foot and elevate your right leg. So you're lifting your right leg straight up, or maybe even just bent, pointing your toe, and do those single leg glute bridges as well. So come over onto your left side for the purpose of this example, and then you're gonna take your band and place it flat on your right foot, trying to make it as even as possible. You wanna grab onto your band and then shift your weight over onto your left forearm, sending your left leg long and your right leg long as well. You're going to pull onto your band, so you have some good tension on there. If you're taller, sorry, it's gonna be a little bit more difficult. Pressing your shoulders back and making sure your hips are nice and stacked, keeping that good tension on that band, and you can always lose the band if this is ever too much. You're gonna lift your left leg up, squeezing onto your glute, and then lower it right back down. Lift it right back up, and then take it down. Trying to lift it with control. So you really wanna find that engagement in that right side glute. I always describe it as trying to make a fist with the right side of your glute. So just really finding that squeeze and then lowering it back down with control. Remember, this is your own adventure. You decide the tension, and you decide how much you wanna lift it and how much you wanna add, trying to make sure you're keeping that control. Again, you can do the same exercise without the band and you'll get that same impact. So you can flex through your foot, lift it up, and then lower it right back down to a hover, keeping your hips nice and square. For our next exercise, we're gonna do lying foot presses. So for this, you already have your band pressed out on your foot. You wanna bring it close in so that it's at a 90-degree angle, and you pull up a little bit more tension on that band. You can decide however much tension you're comfortable with, making sure that your hips are staying nice and square. Lift your foot up so that you keep that flexed foot, and then you're gonna press it back, finding that tension on your band, keeping that foot flexed, and then pull it right back in. So you press it out, keeping that line all the way down your legs and still keeping your shoulders pressed back. So you pull it in and then press it back. Again, still keeping that squeeze of your glute so that you wanna make sure you're making that same fist movement with your glute so you're getting that engagement in that lower body. You wanna keep that minimum engagement in that ankle, so trying to keep it as straight as you can, and then keeping all of that squeeze, all that press, all that tension, really targeting it towards that section of your glutes, and then press it right back out. For our next exercise, you're gonna need your legs nice and long, keeping your band flat on the bottom of your foot or your shoe. Pressing your shoulders back and keeping your core in, hips are nice and stacked. You see that long line down your legs. Pressing your hand into your band so that you have the amount of tension that you're comfortable with. Lift your leg up so it's at that hip height. You should be able to see straight down your leg, making sure it's not too high and not too low, but keeping at that nice parallel position. Keeping your foot flexed, you're gonna squeeze your seat, press it back, and then bring it back to center. Kick it back, and then bring it back to center. You're gonna find that squeeze right where the bottom of your glute meets your thigh, and you're finding that squeeze there and then pressing it right back. If you want this to be a little bit more of a challenge, you can always choke up more on your band and then press it back. Being sure to make sure that those hips aren't pulling back or pressing forward. You wanna make sure that they're keeping nice and square while you're having this kickback, and then that foot is staying flexed. So kick it back and then bring it back to center. And as always, you can totally lose this band if that band is ever too much, and just kick it back and then take it back to center, keeping that foot at that hip height position. If you have any additional questions about your exercise routine, talk to your provider. If you have any additional questions about this video or anything else, talk to your health advisor. And for more exercise videos, check out our Packed Moves playlist on YouTube.